Hello everyone, Keith here again. I'm going to do my end of the month video for August 2022. I'm going to do something I don't normally do this month because I've only got a very few plants that are actually in flower at the moment. Well, I've got quite a few that are in spike or about to flower, so I thought I'd put those in to pad it out a bit, if I'm honest. So, apart from the rapidly fading flower on one of my Lady Coleman's, which really isn't worth trying to dig out for this, or forget that because it's really not worth looking at. And let's have a look at something else. If there's one that can only be described as pretty spectacular, it's this. This is Doritis pulcherrima with the variety Alba. I do like this. There's two plants in the pot. They've both got two spikes on, all four spikes are in flower. I love these small fell style plants. I believe Doritis actually now is classed as a fell, but it's very much phalaenopsis in its requirements. I believe it'll stand being a little bit warmer than some falls. It really is a warm grower. This little card from Burnham says warm minimum 15. So that's fine, it'll get that in here. It's very rare it gets below that. Although if I'm not sure, I can always move it upstairs, which I tend to do, bring some of the plants that want it cooler downstairs in the winter and take the warmer growing plants upstairs. Makes a bit of sense because I haven't got a huge amount of room. But yeah, Doritis pulcherrima. Lovely little thing, white with just a hint of orangey yellow in the throat. Really pretty. Here's a no ID we haven't seen for quite a little while now. Smallish fowl. I think it's quite pretty, sort of white with those darkish pink, rose coral, whatever you might call it, and a slightly darker lip again. I've had this a long time now. Just one bought on spec. It's done a lot better this year since I started adding CalMag to things. It seems to suit the monopodial orchids really well, does that. Perhaps it's simply that I've had more of these for longer, but you know, we've got 3 open and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's probably another 7 buds on this stem, so we're going to have this in flower for a little while. It's sat there doing not very much for quite a long time, and suddenly it sort of started to chuck roots out. The roots I can see in the top of this pot are big and fat and green because it was only watered yesterday. So a very happy little no ID fowl. A very small fowl, of course. This is Phalaenopsis equestris. Hasn't flowered as well this time as it has in the past. It's sort of flowered progressively more and the flowers haven't lasted a huge amount of time. But I can't see any signs of a keiki on the end of this stem, which is different to what it's done before as well. But again, it's growing new leaves, it's growing new roots. The roots that are in it are, you'll probably see that as being nice and green and fat and doing very nicely, thank you. So if you want something that you can keep like any ordinary Phalaenopsis, it's I remember buying this from Burnham's, and I said to Sarah, what about species fowls, how do I go on with these? She said, stick it on a windowsill with all your other fowls and it'll be absolutely fine, and that's absolutely right. One that never seems to go out of flower for some reason, this of course is Mini Mark. I suspect it's possibly due for a repot. The roots aren't looking ever so big, look quite thin, a little bit weedy, but it's grown a new leaf this year. The leaves aren't ever so big on this one, but we've got quite a lot of roots. As I say, I think I'll have it out of the pot before too long because it just wants a look at. But nevertheless, this is doing all right. Phalaenopsis, possibly Leodoro, it's that style of plant. It seems to be reasonably happy. Again, it's put new leaves up, but I had it on the window in the living room, which is southeast facing, and I think it was getting a little bit too much morning light because a couple of the older leaves have yellowed, that one in particular, but that is quite an old leaf as well. It's got plenty of root, the roots are nice and green, but again I think this is another one that could do with a look at. It's been in this pot a little while, so the roots are fine, they're all going down into the pot, they're right down in the pot as well. So it's not in desperate need of repotting, I think, but that bark does feel as if it's starting to crumble. But I've brought it back into the conservatory where it can be kept a little bit further away from the window, and I can be reasonably sure that it will survive, and when it comes to the winter I can move it upstairs. One that I hoped would be out at the time we got here, another old favourite, this is of course Pink Twilight, my very large fowl. You can see I was trying to tie the spike up so it would be straight. I put that last tie on, went away for a long weekend, came back, and the spike had extended so fast towards the light that I actually couldn't get it to straighten up anymore. But this is doing extremely well. Again, we've got lots of roots in the pot. It was repotted in March this year, and we've got, you know, a good spike there, and this thing will flower and last quite well. That should be open in the next 2 days. flouting that with my big feet. I've been doing some watering over the last few days, and I've seen some spikes coming. There's one just sticking out. Where are we? Just there. This is Alisara Marfitch Renaissance Coral. Got quite a nice new growth on it that's still expanding, lots of roots coming out the base of that. So that should give us a nice display, and that flower is gorgeous. Another one that took me slightly by surprise this week or last week, but when I was watering, but this is Oncostili Wildcat, Oncostili Wildcat Rainbow, this one. Nice spike, expanding quickly, but typical Oncidium. Who knows where it'll actually flower, because like most Oncidium types, this will take its time, but we've got a really nice bulb on this, so there's lots of strength in there, and I can only hope that this will kick on, because it struggled a bit. I had to repot it and take quite a bit of it away, but that's now looking a lot better. Right, this is Gomesa or Ornithophora radicans. Bought this from Spiceotic Plants at the Welsh Orchid Festival almost exactly a year ago now, and it's taken very well to this mount. There's two plants on here, or two plants on the original mount that it came with. We've got roots, we've got new growths putting, you can see this one here, this new growth putting out lots of root, so it's doing very nicely. But we've also got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spikes on this side, and another 2, 3 on the other side. So I don't know when it will flower. These can come out quite a long way if when I bought it's anything to go by, but the flowers are very, very small. They're on the verge. You certainly need a magnifying glass to see the structure of them. They're not like some of the dendroculums that are really tiny, and you need a magnifying glass so you can make the flowers out individually. But no, it's not quite that small. But this is a plant which doesn't take any keeping at all. It's been on this mount. Just moisten it every day, and there's roots going all over the place. So this is obviously one that's doing very well. But again, quite when it'll be in flower is anybody's guess, because it's in that Oncidium alliance, and as I say, we all know how long Oncidiums can take from going from spike to anything else. Okay. Another frequent bloomer for me, my Zygonosia Rhine Blue Angel. There's a new growth here with 2 spikes on. That will be out before very much long. I only got 2 buds on. This one's a slightly better spike. there's another new growth coming up the side, so that may flower. Repotted the other day. I can see another new growth pressing out the side. There's lots of roots in there now. So where we're going to quite end up with this, I don't know, but it's one of these things. I wouldn't say it worries me exactly, but it's over the last year it's flowered a lot, and you could say, well, that's wonderful, well done Keith, but I'm always concerned that we're going to end up with an exhausted plant. I've had experience with that before, so I'm taking, you know, the plants that keep flowering with a great deal of care. Ooh, I wish I could have shown you this as it was a week and a half ago. This had a flower out and a really fat bud for the next one already showing, and I was having some work done in here on the conservatory doors. A guy never even thought about it, he just reached down for something he dropped and just took the whole end of this spike off. I don't know what it's going to do, I don't know whether it's going to branch or what, but unfortunately I may not see any more out of that one. But we have got a spike, and this second spike, which hasn't put up very long, we have got typical turning over as it goes into spike, and we should have a flower bud coming. That looks very much like that's going to come into flower before very long to me. Needs repotting very definitely. It's been in here almost 2 years, so, and it's bark and moss, so it probably needs a look at. So that is the plants that are in or coming into flower at the moment. Still no signs of anything in the sheath in this cattleya. I don't know how long that might take to come. I've had no real experience with cattleyas with sheaths. The white one behind it in the green basket, that doesn't grow sheaths. You just see the buds coming up from the end of the canes. So, well, I know sheaths can go blind anyway, so we'll see. But at least I've got a sheath, which is obviously good. So, thank you for watching. I trust that's been useful and interesting. I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.